Find the equation of a hyperbola in standard form. Well, here we go, and we're going to find, using conics to help us determine this. We are given the foci and the asymptotes of this problem. This is a very common problem that you see a lot in pre-calculus and calculus textbooks. So without further ado, let's get started. So we want to try to figure out this hyperbola in standard form. So the first thing is I always like to graph this out or sketch the graph, determine what we need to do, because we need to determine where our center is. We need to figure out the transverse of our major axis. All right, of this hyperbola, and then we're going to fill in the equation by using the information we have. All right, so that's kind of our strategy. Those are the kind of the steps that I'm laying out. If you haven't noticed, when I do my strategy, I always like to lay out my steps of how I'm going to accomplish this task. So first thing, let's graph it. We got 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. So here's one foci. We'll call that foci 1. The next one's going to be 3 and negative 2. 3 and negative 2, and we have this one right here. Okay, this foci 2. Now, from here, you notice that the foci are on the transverse axis. So if I go like this, all right, you can see where that axis symmetry is, and you see it's going vertical. Because it's going vertical, our equation is going to have y being squared. All right, that's going to be the positive value. All right, y. This is vertical. Y squared is going to be positive. Okay, that's a positive value. So from there, we're going to find our center. And our center is always located in the midpoint of our two foci of vertices. And right here, you can see that's where our center is going to be. So our center is going to be at 3, 0, 3, 0. So we're going to have y minus 0 squared. It's going to be our a squared. Minus, it's going to be x minus 3 squared over b squared equals 1. Once again, y is a y squared and not the x because it's going vertical. Okay, it's going vertical. And a squared is always associated with the positive value. Okay. Now from here, we're going to now look for our a values. To do that, we are going to now take our asymptotes. Okay, our asymptotes. All right. And to figure this out is we know that our slope is either a over b or b over a. So when I have this, our slope is going to equal 2. And when I go about solving this, I think about, okay, I'm rising, all right, and this in case would be the a value, all right, and I'm running b. I'm running b value, okay, over b. Okay, and I have that right there. Now from here, okay, we're going to think about this, and we're going to solve for one of these values and then go through and find this equation. So I'm going to have y squared equals a squared minus x minus 3 squared b squared equals 1. All right, so what we have right here is it's a little bit more complex. A lot of students will think that a equals 2, because this is the ratio 2 over 1. So a equals 2 and b equals 1. That could be the case. The one thing we do know is that we have a c value which is equal to 2. Okay, is equal to 2. Now, because the c value is equal to 2, I can use this equation for hyperbolas. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. And I'm going to use this equation to help me figure it out. I'm going to take and cross multiply. So I have 2b equals a. From here, I'm going to substitute in my values. I know c equals 2, so I'm going to have 2 squared, which is 4. And I'm going to say for all the a values, I'm going to put 2b. So I'm going to have 2b squared plus b squared. From here, I have 4b squared plus b squared, and that equals 4. So I add these together. 5b squared equals 4. So b squared equals 4 fifths. 4 fifths. So over here, I'm going to substitute that in now. Is I'm going to put in 4 fifths in for b squared. So then what does a squared going to equal? All right, well, b squared equals 4 fifths. So that means, well, I'm going to just take this. 2b squared equals a squared. It's going to be 4b squared equals a squared. Now, since I know what b squared is, which is 4/5, I'm going to have 4 times 4/5, use a little substitution. So I once again went back into my ratio that I know about the slope. Once again, this is the slope formula. I got this from looking at my equation by asymptotes. All right, and I can equal a squared is going to equal 16 over 5 equals a squared. So right here, that's going to be 16 over 5. 16 over 5. So what do we have? You can't really see that very well. Okay, 16 over 5. So in your book or text, you can leave this as your equation of your hyperbola. Or we can write it as 5y squared over 16 minus 4 times x minus 3 squared over 5. You could also have that. All right, so 2 different ways of writing this equation. All right, so kind of recap. To figure out the equation of this hyperbola, all right, is what we did was we graphed it out first. We identified where the center was, all right, which was a 3, 0. From there, we identified that the major transverse axis is vertical, all right. So we knew from our equation that we'd be writing it like so. From here, we used the information that we knew about our foci to get our c value. And with that c value, I could plug it into this basic equation, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, when it deals with hyperbolas. From there, I identified my slope, all right, of my line, or asymptotic lines. And I realized that we were going from the center, rising a, running b. So I wrote it 2 over 1 equals a over b. Okay. And I knew this was the a value because the a value is always on the transverse axis, or the major axis. And that's why this would be a, because it's going vertical. All right. Then from there, we plug that in, all right, cross-multiplied and plugged it into our basic equation and solve for b squared, and then plug that back into our other equation to solve for a squared, and we get our final answer. Hope that helps out on how to find the equation of hyperbola in standard form, given some various conditions. I hope this helps, and Lord's blessings on the rest of your problems.